The war for Armageddon has only just begun. If you've been following with the recent lore, we know that Angron turned up there, the Blood Crusade, the forces of chaos battling the Black Templars, the Grey Knights, and the Space Wolves. But like I said, this is just the beginning, because in the brand new Space Wolf Codex, we have confirmation that Ghazghkull is now heading towards Armageddon once again, and he's bringing all of his forces to it. This now is building up to the big brand new launch of 11th edition, which apparently is going to launch with Orcs vs Space Marines and also have a narrative storyline of the Imperium battling the Orcs once again. So let's jump in, let's look at it all, let's go through it all, theorize all the big characters that could be happening now going forward. Now, the page I'm about to put in the background is taken from the Ragnar lore segment of the new Space Wolf Codex. And for those people who are confused what's going on between Ragnar and Ghazghkull, basically in a book back in 9th edition, Ragnar fought Ghazghkull and they both basically killed each other. Ragnar was brought back with the Primaris crossing the Rubicon treatment, and Ghazghkull literally had his head sewn back on. And this is where this statement in the background now goes from. And I'm going to start with upon awakening, and this is Ragnar waking up after he's fought Ghazghkull after crossing the Rubicon Primaris. So it states, upon awakening, the young king returned to Krognar. There his forces discovered that Ghazghkull too had been restored to life through the profane Xenos technologies and the depths of his enduring rage. Knowing his available forces to be outmatched and learning from his previous error, Ragnar suppressed his instinct to confront the Orc warlord again. Instead, he focused on sabotaging the Orc preparations for war, thereby buying the Imperium time to prepare for the coming onslaught. And that's building the foundations now for this next bit of text, which is all about Ghazghkull's forces going forward. They can't be stopped. This green train, this green tide of war, muscle, and destruction is on its way to Armageddon. In the background right now, I'm going to read it. It states, hard pressed by ongoing conflicts, the Imperium can spare few forces to aid the Wolf Lord. Thus, the Black Manes, with the willing aid of Crom Dragongaze's Drake Slayers, have resorted to a continuing campaign of lightning strikes, ambushes, and sabotages, hoping to stem the tide until the greater might can be brought to bear. However, with the Orc hordes grinding through system after system on a collision course with Armageddon, Ghazghkull's advance appears inexorable. So basically, Ghazghkull now is heading towards Armageddon. What is this? Is this going to be the 5th War of Armageddon, or does technically the campaign book we've just had now with Angron, does that count as the 4th War of Armageddon? All I'm taking from this is that Ghazghkull is now heading back towards Armageddon. And this is all the rumors, this is all the narrative stuff I've been hearing about going forward now in the next edition, all being centered around the Orcs. This, ladies and gentlemen, is the founding blocks to that next big story step. And as I mentioned, the 11th edition narrative, the 11th edition box set is supposed to be themed around Orcs, Space Marines versus Orcs. And I think we're already starting to see some design aspects of that hitting other models. In the background right now, no, it's not another Vindication, yet anyway, is the Black Templar Ancient, the model that I was telling you was coming for years, and you all took the absolute mickey out of me, but there he is. But one of the options to build that model is an Armageddon with an Orc head on there. Yes, you can basically say, well, the Templars have fought an Armageddon before about it, right? It all makes sense. Of course, it all makes sense. But I think like little design aspects like this are really pointing towards that direction. Another big rumor that I'm hearing is that the Iron Hands are supposed to be getting a brand new Terminator character. And something that was pointed out over in my Discord is this massive blow up art piece that was posted at a GW event of an Iron Hand in Terminator armor, and you can see on his, well, his belt buckle, his tactical belt buckle, his waist, that there's an Orc head on there. Yes, I'm reaching on this one, but it's just these little design things to me that really just hint out that potentially they're building towards this future narrative to design models against this big incoming Orc foe. Now, all this story makes sense that the Space Wolves are getting involved with the Orcs because Fenris is literally next to Armageddon, and Armageddon is such a strategic strong point at this moment in time for the Imperium. It's literally like one of the gates to the inner segmentum solar, even though it's inner segmentum solar, again, right next to Fenris. If you take this planet, it is a massive base of operations then to launch potential assaults into the inner sanctuary of the segmentum solar, Terra, Mars, etc., etc. And I think this is why the Space Wolves will want to be getting involved a little bit more. They're right next to it. Ragnar Blackmane sees the power of Ghazghkull and the forces that are following him. He recognizes that if this Orc gets a foothold, then the Imperium could be doomed. And one of the big things about all this, which I always mention, which I absolutely love, is that Armageddon is really not Armageddon. That's just the name the Imperium gave it. The first name, well, we gave this name as well, is IsraLlona, and that is literally the heart of the Orc Empire back in the day when the Emperor, the Great Crusade, the Primarchs, Horus, everyone was fighting over it, right? That was the main Orc planet. It just got transported somewhere else. There's a full story in the Beast Arises series if you want to go and check that out. I know there's a lot of talk about that series, but one of the fallouts from that is that basically IsraLlona got renamed as Armageddon, and they transported it over to that bit of the galaxy, and this is why the Orcs are driven. This is why they have that, like, animalistic intensity to get back to that planet and take it. And I'm going to say something which may be an absolute spicy take. I think Ghazghkull should win. I think GW should really drop their pants, show their balls, and say, listen, right, the Orcs are going to take Armageddon. The Orcs are going to win Armageddon, and this is where Ghazghkull can restart maybe the Orc Empire again, be that massive, huge new narrative threat in the galaxy, start launching little Orc crusade wars across the galaxy into the Imperial territory, into the inner sanctum of the Imperium. But not only that, like, it'd be a problem for like the Eldar, the Leagues of Votann, the Necrons maybe, the Tau even, like all the way across the bloody galaxy. This could be the big base of operations for the Orcs to start taking their claim back on the galaxy as a whole. That is something I would absolutely love to see the Orcs do. Hopefully, fingers crossed, we get some absolutely amazing lore. We get some absolutely amazing models with this rumored 11th edition starter box set. As an Orc fan, as a Space Marine fanboy, this pairing is my dream setup. I love both of these armies. Sadly, I don't have an Orc army as of yet, but I am working on that because, as you can see here, Big Boss Mankrak, I think that's what I'm going to call him. I've literally custom designed this model with a designer, and this is going to be my war boss. This is Valrak in Orc form. Sorry, I'm literally blurring all here. X marks the spot for the busser. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm literally going to be building my Orc force going forward because there's so much hype. There's so much potential in this storyline. I just don't want Games Workshop to let me down. But maybe hope is the first step on the road to disappointment. Thank you for coming. Thank you for watching. As always, if you've got any thoughts, feedback, theories, questions yourself, post them down below and we'll have a nice little chin wag down there as we always do. See you now. Have a great day, evening, night, way around the world, and bye-bye.